Straight ahead on 12 News, lightning strikes again. Our stormy spring continues to cause problems, this time in Maple Grove. Then, new warnings about e-cigarettes and children.
What there's no debate about is the amount of nicotine that's in these products and how dangerous that is.
But first, a Brooklyn Park road project leads to more debate and controversy surrounding light rail. 12 News starts right now. A road expansion project that would take out about a dozen homes in Brooklyn Park has been put on hold.
The project would make room for a proposed light rail train, and Delane Cleveland joins us now live along West Broadway Avenue with more on why the City Council decided to table the project. Delane?
And Mike and Alex, I'm standing near a cluster of homes that could very well be impacted by a road widening project. These people made their voices heard at Brooklyn Park City Hall on Monday night.
To me is that the route down Broadway just does not make any sense.
Yellow signs reading "Save Our Homes" were found in the hands of nearly every person who packed into Brooklyn Park City Hall Monday night.
For them just to come in and willy-nilly decide to take your home is not right, and we oppose it strongly.
At issue is a $40 million plan to widen West Broadway from Candlewood Drive to 93rd Avenue.
I don't want to see the destruction of our neighborhood just to have a light rail come in, which, very few people are going to use in our neighborhood.
The plan would add walking paths, accommodate a potential light rail line, take out at least 11 homes in the process, and reduce the size of some people's yards.
You cannot confiscate via public domain land that you do not necessarily need. And in fact, doing so would be unconstitutional.
Brooklyn Park Mayor Jeff Lundy stated that the council didn't have enough information about the full impact of property acquisitions and train noise.
I don't think the county has had time to prepare that, and I wouldn't expect them to, but I think it's a question that we need to ask.
Based on that, the council opted to table the vote to begin the street widening.
There is no urgency on this project. I talked to Commissioner Opat. There is nothing that says it has to be done this year or next. What it needs to be done is we as a city need to decide yes or no.
However, they didn't do that last night, much to the chagrin of Councilmember John Jordan.
You have hijacked this meeting, Mr. Mayor.
Councilmember Jordan, 5 people voted for tabling. It's non-discussable.
I understand that, and I am making it different.
Well, the crowd applauded when the council voted to table the issue. However, the vote essentially puts the homeowners in limbo. So Councilmember John Jordan, meanwhile, says that he plans to put this item back on the agenda in the hopes that the council members can go on the record and make a vote before the election. Reporting live in Brooklyn Park, Delane Cleveland, 12 News.
All right, thanks, Delane. We'll see what happens next. It's already been a wet spring. Now a stalled weather system is adding to an increasingly wet June. So far this month, we've had 3.6 inches of rain. The average amount of rainfall for June is 4.7 inches and will likely surpass that this week. And when you consider our above average May rainfall and the near record April rainfall, we're on pace this year for near record precipitation. Monday evening's stormy weather is responsible for damaging a Maple Grove home. Lightning strike caused a fire to this home in the 9300 block of Magnolia Lane North. Fire officials say the lightning strike put a hole in the roof and started a fire in the master bedroom. Fortunately, no one was hurt. Fire crews managed to save the house from heavy damage. The FBI director says sex trafficking is an enormous challenge that requires many local partnerships to resolve.
On his first visit to the Minneapolis field office in Brooklyn Center, FBI Director James Comey says it's a problem he was just talking about with local sheriffs and Minnesota police chiefs. Just this month, 2 people were arrested and a 13-year-old runaway from Brooklyn Center was returned home after prosecutors in the Fargo-Moorhead area say she became a victim of sex trafficking.
Sometimes it involves kids being trafficked for sex purposes. Sometimes it involves people being trafficked for labor enslavement. Especially, we have to form partnerships at the federal level with our state and local counterparts, because it's the sheriff's deputy again, or the police officer on the beat who's going to see the girl who's being enslaved, is going to see the migrant workers who are being locked up in some unbelievably bad conditions.
On another issue, Comey said the FBI played a role in arresting the first suspect in a 2012 attack in Libya that killed a U.S. ambassador and 3 other Americans. Ahmed Katala was arrested in a weekend raid. Comey says the FBI won't stop until all those responsible for the Benghazi attack are in custody.
Brooklyn Center Police are informing the public about a level 3 sex offender moving into the community. Level 3 is most likely to reoffend. Jeremy Queen has a history of sexual contact with adolescent girls. And police say Queen knew his victims. He served his sentence and authorities cannot dictate where he lives. Queen is registered to move into a residence in the 5600 block of Logan Avenue North.
Brooklyn Park Police are warning people to lock their vehicles after several overnight thefts in the city. The crimes happened on the 9200 block of Ashley Terrace North and on nearby Dunbar Knoll North. Police say the thieves got into unlocked vehicles and took several items, including a GPS. Police believe the incidents happened around 2 in the morning, and the burglaries serve as a good reminder to lock your vehicles at all times.
For a lot of people who break into cars, the first thing that they're going to check is if the door opens or not. And if it doesn't, they don't go through the process of breaking windows because they don't want to create the noise that that makes, and with the possibility of waking somebody up.
As part of the investigation, Brooklyn Park Police have identified 3 individuals who may be responsible for those crimes.
A former Rogers High School student who was suspended for a 2-word internet post is now suing the Elk River School District, claiming his constitutional rights were violated. The student, Reed Sagehorn, was asked online whether he had an inappropriate relationship with a teacher. He replied, actually yes, and meant it to be sarcasm. However, Sagehorn ended up being suspended for 2 months. Sagehorn was an honor student and captain of the football and basketball teams. He is seeking monetary damages. The suit also asked the school district to change its policies.
Despite having strict rules and training, it's still up to employees to properly check IDs to serve alcohol. Unfortunately, for 3 Maple Grove businesses, they will face penalties for failing routine compliance checks. Byerly's Wine and Spirits, Patrick's Restaurant and Bakery, and Wild Bill's Sports Saloon were recently cited by Maple Grove Police. For each of the businesses, it was their first violation. All must pay a $2,000 fine. Wild Bill's and Patrick's will also have their liquor license suspended for 2 consecutive days. The Maple Grove City Council put the ordinance in place several years ago because it felt some businesses weren't taking ID checks seriously enough. Up next in Health Check, new concerns raised about e-cigarettes in children, what poison control experts want to see happen.
And then later in sports, the defending champion of the 3M Championship Golf Tournament returns to the North Metro for Media Day.
But first, our muggy, stormy weather is sticking around. We may not catch a break until the weekend.
A new study ranks the United States dead last among 11 industrialized nations for the quality of its healthcare system. This despite spending far more per capita than all the nations surveyed. The report based its findings among 5 performance areas, including access and efficiency. Researchers gave the highest marks to the United Kingdom, followed by Switzerland, France, Canada, and the U.S. were in the bottom 3. The United States scored poorly in several areas, including a shortage of primary care physicians and limited access to primary care, particularly in low-income populations. It should be noted the study was done before the Affordable Care Act fully took effect. Public health officials are warning of a new danger associated with a relatively new product.
As e-cigarettes become more popular, poison centers have seen a spike in reports of people, especially children, being harmfully exposed to the product. 12 News reporter Carissa Wyant explains in today's Health Check.
Part of the reason we get calls is it's a newer product and people don't necessarily know what the limits are.
E-cigarettes are marketed as a safe alternative to tobacco products, but experts at poison centers are just uncovering a new problem with them.
The amount of nicotine that's in the small container that can go into the dispenser is, the concentration is definitively toxic to a young child and potentially fatal.
The amount of nicotine in the e-juice, or liquid used in these vaporizers, poses a health risk to adults who ingest too much or to children who accidentally get a hold of it.
The initial symptoms are usually gastrointestinal in nature. People get upset stomach, vomiting, but you can get some pretty serious cardiovascular effects as well as seizures.
More than half of the calls to poison centers across the nation involved children under the age of 5 being exposed to e-cigarettes. The CDC says with use of the product skyrocketing, it's not a problem that's likely to go away. So far this year, there have been 55 calls to poison centers in Minnesota about exposure to e-cigarettes.
There's no question that there's enough nicotine in these products to seriously harm or kill a child or even an adult.
Experts say developing strategies to monitor and prevent future poisonings is critical.
Keep it up and out of the way of children. Don't let children see you use it. Don't use it in front of them. And keep it locked away if possible.
For Health Check, Carissa Wyant, 12 News.
Experts at the Poison Center also tell 12 News they hope to see e-cigarette juice in containers with child-proof locks similar to those on pill bottles. Coming up, kids in Brooklyn Park go fishing and try to reel in a big prize.
But first in sports, summer workouts are helping Armstrong's new head football coach get to know his team. John Jacobson has that and more when we come back. Well, in data, get to know a little bit about your players, and I suppose that works two ways. You get to learn a little bit about the coach if you show up for a light practice.
Right, and for the players, you know, it's a guy they're familiar with as far as a teacher in the school, but new head football coach. So a little bit of learning on both sides. You're right. It is the middle of June, but local high school football players are hard at work sharpening their skills. As Jay Wilcox reports, a new head coach is getting a head start to the season at Armstrong.
Augie 28, Y seam, 28, Y seam.
Summer has become an important learning time for Minnesota high school football teams, especially when there's a coaching change. Jack Nagan, already a teacher and boys basketball assistant at Armstrong, is the new head man for the Falcons. He comes from coaching the offense at Holy Angels.
You know, I'm really excited, and I've been teaching in the building here for 8 years and been coaching somewhere else. And, you know, when this opportunity came up, this was the time. I was pretty excited. I love the kids that we have. I know the kids well from the school, and I think that relationship piece is big. And this is the school where I teach and the school where I plan to retire, so this is where I should be coaching football.
In this second week of summer training, the players like what they see from Nagan.
He really has a passion for this team and for us, and he's coached here. I mean, like, teach here, and he wanted to coach here, so he, like, knows all the kids, got good relationships with them. He's a great guy. I mean, but even before he was coach, he was always asking how our season was going, how us sophomores and juniors were doing this year, because I felt like he probably knew ahead of time, but he just wanted to get to know us, but he's a really cool guy.
Besides getting to know the players, Nagan and his staff will be putting in new schemes, so the learning time is crucial.
I'm bringing some stuff in from, you know, from where I've been, and we've been kind of a pistol zone team, and so we'll continue with some of that. I've hired a offensive coordinator, Jason Potts, who's a graduate of Armstrong, and so he'll start with us next week, and so obviously he's going to have some say in that.
Armstrong's really struggled in recent seasons on the football field. Nagan knows it won't be easy to turn things around, but more important than X's and O's will be getting the kids to buy in.
Just like he said, dedication and commitment is going to be the big part, and I feel like that should just take over as long as we have people who want to show up and be here and people who feel like they want to play.
The whole summer we got to put in work.
It's a big summer for Jack Nagan and the Falcons. We'll see in the fall if the hard work pays off. Jay Wilcox, 12 Sports. Falcons!
Armstrong will host a football camp July 15th through the 17th. Official practices start August 11th for the Falcons and teams around the state. The 3M Championship Golf Tournament returns to the TPC in Blaine August 1st through the 3rd. The event started at Bunker Hills and now is in its 22nd year. Earlier today, I had a chance to talk with defending champion Tom Pernice about coming back to the Twin Cities to defend his title.
I feel the excitement of coming back to a place that you know, you had some success with. To me, it's exciting with the announcement today of Jack Nicklaus, Arnold Palmer, Gary Player, and Lee Trevino all coming back for the greats to play. To me, that's what's exciting about this, is the opportunity to get those four people all back together in one event, and people to have the opportunity to see that, pretty mind-blowing in a way. That's pretty special stuff.
You'll have your own work to do here during tournament weekend, but will you try to make an opportunity on Saturday to talk to those guys after you're done golfing?
Absolutely. I mean, last year I can remember. As soon as I was done, I went in and signed my career card and ran back out because I wanted to watch the three groups come in and finish. We don't get the opportunity to watch them still can play and compete, and you know they still have great skill level. People we idolized growing up and played with a little bit at the beginning of our careers on the regular tour. So, anytime we get to be around them, talk to them, see them, and then get to see them play is pretty special.
You finished with 2 birdies in your last round last year. What do you remember about coming into those last couple of holes? And it was very tight at the top.
Yeah, Sluman was shooting a million under, I think, at the time, and Pavin was birdieing every hole coming in. And I was obviously fortunate enough I made the long putt at 17 that really gave me the capability to just have to make a 4 at the last to win. And, you know, hit a great iron shot in on the last and could 2-putt from, 15 feet to be able to hold it.
You won in Des Moines 2 weeks ago. You grew up in Kansas City. How much do you enjoy Midwest golf courses and the crowds that you get?
You know, I love the Midwest. I can remember as a kid the summers in the Midwest and the warmth and the humidity and the trees and the whole surroundings. So, it's pretty special to me. I mean, we're pretty far north, but the weather's pretty much the same, Kansas City, Des Moines, Minneapolis. So it's nice to have that Midwest feel and to have some success in the Midwest.
Practice rounds begin on July 28th with the tournament starting Friday morning, August 1st. Although he grew up in the Midwest in Kansas City, now he spends most of his time in California, so he missed that whole winter.
Yeah, I was just going to, not so much nice in February, but thanks, John. Still ahead, a fishing trip that connects kids with cops.
We'll be right back. And finally, some kids in Brooklyn Park reeled one in today with the help of local police.
It's the annual Cops and Kids fishing tournament, and one Brooklyn Park 10-year-old had a message for the fish.
I'm coming for you.
William Perry was one of about 95 Brooklyn Park kids who dropped a line in the pond outside the Community Activity Center with the help of local cops. Brooklyn Park Police started the event back in 2007 as a way to reduce juvenile crime by teaching kids a healthy activity. Most importantly, it's designed to build a mutually beneficial relationship between kids and local police.
At a quick glance, it may look like the kids are learning to fish, but they're really learning to interact with police officers. That's what we're taking away. And sometimes it's just important for our police officers to learn to interact with kids. And it's not always a suspect out there. We want them to recognize that these kids are our future and to have that personal relationship.
Thanks to sponsors, the kids got a rod and reel, and the fishing tournament features prizes that include 2 bicycles that are given away. So today was the day to get the big catch, get that big fish.
I hope William got his fish.
Yeah, I hope he did too.
He scared him.
In good confidence. That does it for us. Thanks so much for joining us.
Stay with us. Community Corner is coming up next. We'll see you again tomorrow.